So,
Okay, we are recording.
boom, my project's loading right now.
Amazing. Pro already. You should be teaching the class. Okay, we're gonna get another.
Anything
What's
about
up?
code?
So the Unity Hub, right, is all you need? Or is it
Yeah, so get the Unity Hub, and then in Unity Hub, on the left-hand side, there's an Installs button. Click Installs, and then Add, on the top right this time, and get the most recent version of 2020.
Oh, I just went to the same site, and it says if you have Unity, so we opened that, and it just started.
That's fine too. So like you can make a new project, right?
It's currently creating the new project, so.
Okay, as long as you can make a new project, everybody's good.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Hi, Andy. Are you here? Can you hear me? Can you talk?
Hey, yep.
Hi, holy cow, it's been a while. Andy and I went to high school together.
Not high school, college, but yeah.
Yes, yeah. All right, we got 30 seconds, then we're gonna get started. I'm gonna say it one more time. If you haven't installed Unity Hub and a version of Unity, do it right now, because it's a big file and it will take a second. Okay, welcome everybody. So I already said this to, I think, most of you, but I'm gonna say it one more time. My name is Willem Delventhal. I'm going to be your instructor for today. I am the youngest of three brothers that makes up the Delve Bros, an indie game company. And one of the things that we try to do is teach people game development. It's a really powerful tool for learning engineering. It's a great industry to get into as a profession, and it's just fun. So this is something we like to do once a month. Every month is a little bit different. This month, we're learning to make Flappy Bird. So I am going to start screen sharing here. Follow along. Actually, let me cancel that. Let's introduce ourselves. We don't have a huge group today, so we've got some time. I am, like I said, my name is Willem. I'd like from everybody here, we're gonna go around to get a little intro of your name, where you're from, and what your favorite video game is, okay? My name is Willem Delventhal. I'm from the Bay Area, San Francisco, and my favorite video game of all time is Chrono Trigger because it was the best game and there's no arguing, okay? Who's next?
I'll think I'll go next.
Okay.
My name's Dean. I'm from Georgia, and my favorite game is Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, and I think it is better than Chrono Trigger.
Oh,
I mean,
no.
no argument. Just saying. Just saying.
We're already off to a bad start here. All right, who's next? I'm seeing DF on the list.
Yes. My name is Denver Francis. I'm from Georgia. I've got a lot of favorite games, but the games I'm playing now is World of Warcraft and Red Dead Redemption Online.
Yes. For a fun fact about Denver here, because I know him as well, Denver and his wife played World of Warcraft for months straight and didn't go out or do anything else so that they could save money and buy their first house together. Brilliant strategy. Who's next? I see you raising your hand, Rain.
So, my name is Rain. I'm from Toronto. My favorite video game would have to be either War of Warcraft or Torchlight. And my mom's currently playing World of Warcraft like right now.
Amazing. Good. I have not played Torchlight, but World of Warcraft is a classic. Oh my God, look at her go. All right, who's up next? Looks like Andy. Andy, you're muted.
Hey, thanks.
Yes.
My name's Andy. I'm from Connecticut, and I have to say my favorite video game is Pokemon Sapphire.
Ooh, good choice. Yes, yes. That was when it was like still really awesome. And then it kind of went down. I don't know.
Hey,
No, I
Pokemon
love
Gen
them all.
7 was
I love
pretty
them
good.
all. But...
Yes, definitely. Okay. Matt?
Hello. My name is Matt, and I'm from San Francisco, and my favorite game of all time, I just finished playing The Last of Us 2,
Yes.
and it was terrifying and awesome. And so then I went back to Red Dead Redemption 2, which I didn't have time to finish when it first came out, and now I've got nothing but time because we're all locked away in the apocalypse. So I've been
Yes.
really, I think my favorite game is, well, The Last of Us 1 and 2 were both really excellent games.
I still haven't played them. I don't know why. I've made a mistake. I will get to it.
The funny thing about those games is that it's, my wife who doesn't really play video games is just like, is it fun? And I'm like, no. That's not that I would use to describe
Yes.
either Last of Us game, but they're very compelling and
Yes.
they suck you in.
Good. Yeah. Okay. Melissa.
This is my mom's computer, and my actual
Okay.
name is Jazzy,
Hi, Jazzy.
and I'm from Sacramento, and my favorite game probably has to be Five Nights at Freddy's.
Wow. Unconventional choice. Terrifying.
And also, we're trying to make the new template thing, but then when I tried to put in the birthday, it says I'm not old enough. Then we tried to use a different birthday. It says that the license isn't valid.
Okay. Interesting. Have you already created an account for Unity?
Uh,
No, because it took us just to this part here.
no, because it just took us straight to the projects page.
You'll have to add a license. So I think they give you a free one if you select the
Oh,
person.
okay.
Yeah, but you also have to make an account before you can make a license. I had to make an account anyways first.
So, yes, are you already logged into Unity Hub, Jazzy?
Oh no, we're not logged in.
Okay, so here's what I would recommend you do. Go online, go to the Unity website, and make an account there. And this time, use your mom's age, make an account with your mom or whoever.
Okay.
And then once you have that account, sign in on Unity Hub. And from there, there will be a settings at the top right. If you click on that, you can hit Manage License and do Activate New License and choose the free one.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, let me know if you don't get that set up, okay? All right, what about Mike DiCello over here?
What's up? I'm Mike. I live in Austin, Texas, originally from Connecticut. My favorite game of all time, Dragon Age Origins.
Yes, good choice, good choice.
But I'm really addicted to Slay the Spire right now.
And Burning Skies.
Yes, and Burning
Yeah,
Skies.
hot new game. That's the newest Del Bros game. And Starscream, heck of a name. The last person on the list. Starscream, are you there? They're gone. We'll move on.
She's on they're on the chat. They don't have a mic.
Oh, okay. Hi, on chat. Don't have a mic. Hi, Starscream. San Francisco, Spyro, because it's a childhood favorite. Classic game. I love me some Spyro. Okay, guys. So let's go ahead and get started. Jazzy, let me know if you're having problems. Anybody else, let me know if you're having problems.
Hey, Willem, you skipped me, man.
Oh, Fong, sorry.
No problem.
Go
Hi,
ahead.
everyone. So I'm Fong from Georgia with Denver. And I would say my favorite game is League of Legends.
Nice. League of Legends is also a classic. Okay, well, now we can move on. Did I miss anybody else? Did I skip anyone else? Okay, good. So we definitely have a good amount to cover today. I am going to be asking frequently for feedback. I will be asking people to solve things for me. I will be asking for various questions about how to do what in Unity. It's how I get you to pay attention, make the class a little more interesting, and how I sort of gauge where everybody is at and if I need to move slower or faster. If you do not have a mic or a camera, please use the reactions down at the bottom there. If you give me a thumbs up or a clap, I know you're listening, I know you're in. For instance, how many people here have some coding experience? Give me a little clap, give me a thumbs up.
How do you do a thumbs up? I never used Zoom.
Reactions in the on the bottom of the screen there?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So most people have some coding experience, which is good. That's going to help us get through this today. I'm still going to explain a lot of the fundamentals. So there may be parts where it's a little bit slow. If you're feeling like you understand what I'm talking about, feel free to make your game more awesome. Find more images and stuff like that. But otherwise, I'm going to assume that that nobody knows anything because I want to make sure that we're really starting from the basics, okay? So here we go. I'm going to share my screen. We are officially starting the course. Jazzy, did you get everything set up?
We're checking right now. My mom's right next to me, like sorting everything out.
Yes, okay. So let me know, but just to show you if you didn't see it already, once you log in, you're gonna have your name up at the top right here, little indicator. You can go to Manage License, and this is where you would actually activate the new license, okay? And for anybody else who doesn't have that. Now, Unity Hub and Unity, very simple rule of thumb: if something is messed up, just quit it and reopen it. So if it's really giving you issues, that's something I would try as well, Jazzy. Okay, let's get started. So this is Unity Hub. This is actually a relatively new addition, and it's amazing because it's very frequent that different games are going to use different versions of Unity. You can notice here that Flappy Bird One Shot, this is me testing out and making sure I was ready to teach the class today, is built in Unity 2020.1.0 F1, but Pachinko, which is a game from a different lesson, no, here's one. Mew and Me Auto Games is made in 2019.4.5. So this actually allows me to have multiple versions of Unity all installed on my machine without having to handle it. It's very nice. That's what Unity Hub is for. So open up Unity Hub and click the Add button in the top right if you haven't already started a new project. Unity is going to ask me where I want to put it. I recommend, if you aren't already somebody who builds games, works on stuff like that, that you have one folder where you put all of your projects. I always call this folder my workspace. So I'm hit open on that one. That wants me to make a new folder. Hold on. Okay. All right. So the add button, I'm mistaken almost immediately. The add button is to add projects that already exist, Unity projects that you have already made. You actually want to hit the new button. So I'm gonna hit the new button, and we're gonna pull up a window here with a bunch of options. The options are fairly self-explanatory. We have a couple of options on what type of game we wanna make. We're not gonna get too complicated. We're gonna start with 2D. So I'm gonna click the 2D template. You can name your project whatever you want, but remember that you're making a Flappy Bird clone. So you could call it some custom version of Flappy Bird. I'm just gonna call it Flappy Bird clone. And then, like I said, I always keep all of my games in one folder. So I'll make a new folder here. I'm gonna call it Flappy Bird clone. Okay, then you can go ahead and hit create. Now, when you are installing and downloading Unity, there's gonna be a bunch of options on stuff for you to install. All you have to think about is what you actually want to put your game on. So do I wanna put my game on my phone when I finish it? Do I wanna put my game on my computer when I finish it? And just get those options. Unity is gonna take a second to import here. This is very typical. If you haven't made your game already, definitely do that now because you're gonna have to wait. So does anyone know what an IDE is? Unity is an IDE. Has anyone heard of that before? Well, don't raise your hands all at once. Feel free when I'm asking questions, by the way, to just jump in on the mic. I won't call on you, you can just talk. So an IDE is an What's that?
I never heard of an IDE.
Okay. So an IDE is an integrated development environment. An IDE, integrated development environment. And all that really means is, instead of just looking at some code, instead of just looking at some script, some text, I actually have an environment here where I can edit and play with things in Unity. All right? It makes it much easier and much more visually laid out. It works way better in my head. When I tried learning coding just using script back in the day, I completely failed. I dropped a class. When I started building in Flash, which is actually my first IDE, it suddenly clicked and made sense because I had a visual layout of my games. So this is the Unity IDE. It has many, many, many different windows. It may look intimidating at first. Also, your version of Unity is probably going to look a little bit different than mine. And that's because all of these different windows are actually modular. So I can move them to different parts of the screen. So for instance, if I click on my game tab here, if I click and I drag it, I can actually put it somewhere else. So I could put it down here or something. I can drag it and snap it to different parts of the screen too. So I could snap it to the right-hand side of the screen there, or the top of the screen, anywhere else, right? So for right now, unless you are already somewhat comfortable in Unity, what I'd like you to do first is set up Unity so that it looks the same as mine. So there's a couple things you're gonna have to do. The first one is your scene tab and your game tab are probably going to start together. You're gonna have to click between them. This is terrible. I don't know who thought this was the best way to do it, but they're wrong. I want you to drag the game tab out of where the scene is, and I want you to snap it to the right-hand side. Your goal is so that you can look at the game tab and the scene tab at the same time. All right? Then I want you to, in the, I don't remember where the console starts by default. Does anyone have that for me? Where does the console start by default?
On the bottom next to project.
Is it its own tab or like its own window, or are they tabs together?
It's its own window.
Okay, perfect. Yes. So that's what you want. You want your console to be its own window, and you want it to have a nice long space. All right? I'm going to explain what these sections all are, but first we're just going to get them set up. And then the bottom left, your project. I want you to do one thing here. There's 3 dots at the top right of the project. I want you to click that. Those are the options for this tab. And I want you to click on one column layout. And then you should have Unity looking roughly the same as I have it here. Anybody having issues? And Jazzy, it sounds like you got in okay? Thumbs up, good job.
I'm sorry, Will, I missed that. Where's the button for the one column layout?
Yes, so wherever your project tab is, which hopefully is the bottom left, there's 3 buttons at the very top right of that little window. Click those 3 buttons, one column layout. Good?
Yeah, got it, thanks.
All right, so let's talk about these different sections in Unity, okay? In order to do so, to sort of illustrate how this works, is that a hand, Rain?
I have a question. So
Yes.
when I move my game display, instead of keeping its horizontal form, it turns vertical.
Game display, so the game tab?
Let me show you 1 second.
Okay.
For example, if it's back here, so it's like now it's a wide camera, right?
Yes.
But when I get over here, wait, it becomes like
Yes, that's actually okay. So I'll show you what that is, but it's not going to stop you from playing the game. So let's explain this first for Rain. We'll start with this game tab. So can anybody guess, given that it's called the game tab, what you actually see here? What does this tab do?
I'm gonna guess it shows the game while it's being worked on.
That's it, it shows the game. So this shows the game specifically from your player's perspective. So this is what the game is going to look like for your player. So right now our game is pretty boring. There's not a lot going on in there. Now, what Rain has noticed is that your game can be different resolutions. Right now my game is set to be a 16:10 resolution. If you click on one of the top tabs, one of the top drop downs there along the game tab, you'll notice that there's a resolution drop down, and you can click anything along this list. I could, for instance, hit free aspect, which is what yours is probably set to right now, Rain, and that would make it match the size of the game window. Yeah. But I can also set it to be 16:10 or any other resolution, and then it will roughly stay the same size, the same resolution, but different
So
sizes.
now it's now the same size. So we're
Perfect, yeah. So for everybody else, I want you to set it to something like this. As long as you can get it to look roughly horizontal, you're good, because this is Flappy Bird. It's going to be hard to make it vertical. Okay?
Hey, Nolan, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So I was resizing my windows to try to make mine look like yours, and I got to, I clicked on the maximize console.
Yes.
And it is now taking up my whole space, and I can't see how to get out of that view.
Yes. So any of your tabs you can maximize, which will allow you to look at just that tab, and you toggle that by right-clicking on the tab itself. So if I right-click on game and I hit maximize, now my game will take up the whole window. It doesn't stop anything from existing, but it helps you if I like really need to watch the game right now. Yep. And then you can do the exact same thing in reverse. So right click on that name up there, game, and hit maximize to make it smaller again. Okay?
Hey, well,
Great. Yes.
I think one useful tip is also about the save layout button. I think once you have a layout that you like, it's nice to save it so you can get back to it whenever. Yeah,
so Unity automatically saves your layouts, but as Fong is pointing out, in the top right, there's a layout dropdown, and you can go down to save layout, and that will actually save this layout for future use you can use in other projects, okay? All right, so let's talk about these different windows. The next, probably the most important one here, is our scene. Now, to make this a little bit more clear, I actually want us to go over to the hierarchy on the left. And we'll notice that there's only one thing in the hierarchy right now. And what is that one thing?
Main camera.
Camera.
Yes, main camera. So go ahead and click on that main camera. And some stuff is going to happen. So first of all, when I click on the main camera, I get a white box in my scene, right? And there's a little camera symbol too. And then over on the right-hand side in my inspector, I see a ton of information. So before I talk about this too much more, in your hierarchy again, I want you to hit that plus button that you can see in the very top left of the hierarchy. And I want you to go down to 2D object, and I want you to hit sprite. 2D object, sprite. Hit the plus button on the top left of the hierarchy, go down to 2D object, and click sprite. So a sprite is essentially an image. If Mario was jumping around the screen, he would be a sprite. However Mario looks is a sprite. But we noticed something pretty weird here. When we added the sprite, what happened to our scene and our game?
Nothing?
Nothing. Well, that's weird. So here's how Unity works. Unity is what's called a component-based system. And I'm not going to talk too much about that because I don't want to go too in-depth today. But a component-based system means every individual element makes up a larger whole. So I want you to compare your main camera and your new sprite now. If I click on my main camera and I look under the inspector, and you may have figured this out now, but your inspector does exactly what it sounds like. It tells you all of the information about the currently selected object. The inspector tells you all of the information about the currently selected object. So my main camera, it has a transform and it has a camera. Those are two separate components. Based on the information that it's showing you there, what do you think a transform does?
Like transforms the object by like making it look different.
Yeah, I think that's
Change
about
the
right.
position on the camera.
Right. So the transform most explicitly is telling you, oh, by the way, if anyone ever spots somebody waiting to come into the room, will you let me know? Because while I'm teaching, I cannot see that tab. And also the chat. Let me pull it up to make sure I see it. But if I'm missing anybody in the chat, please let me know. Okay. So yes, the transform is essentially our transform information. It is our position, our rotation, and our scale. It's the information we need to know about existing. We need to know where we are, right? And we need to know how big we are. Now the camera is a special component. The camera is a component that tells this thing that it's a camera. If we click on the new sprite, what's the difference?
It has sprite renderer instead of camera.
Yeah, it has a sprite renderer instead of a camera. So these things are both what's called a game object. A game object is anything that can exist in the scene. Our main camera exists in the scene, and our new sprite exists in the scene. So they are both game objects. So the difference, though, is that they have different components. They both have a transform, which is their position in space, but one of them has a camera and the other has a sprite renderer. Now, looking at your sprite renderer, we can probably solve the issue of an invisible sprite. Can anybody notice something that might tell us why our sprite is missing?
It says none sprite, so maybe you have to find one or pick one to put on there.
Exactly. So whenever we have an empty box like this, where it says none and then something, that's waiting for you to hook something up. This is very common in Unity and is one of the things that is unique to Unity, to how Unity works. In many coding languages, I am hooking things up in code, and I'm not really doing it visually like this. In Unity, I'm actually hooking things up, okay? So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get you guys a link. Here's my Facebook, everybody. I'm gonna get you guys a link to a couple of assets for you to grab. A couple of images and more. How do I share this?
Pretty
Who knows
sure.
where the share button is?
Oh, if you go to those two people looking thingies.
There?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, good job. Okay, can view. All right, so I'm gonna put this in the chat, and I'd like you to, everyone.
But I'm doing these. But the problem with this is I'm doing my iPad for my
Zoom.
and my computer for Unity. So
Okay.
Doing the same thing.
Okay.
Gmail it to me, something like that.
Yes. Why don't you private message me your email, both of you, and I will send it to you both. Okay. So for everybody else, do you guys know how to private message me on Zoom?
Yes, you just send to, click the arrow, and it select William.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So in the chat where it says to everyone, just click the everyone and change that to my name and then send it to me, and I'll stop screen sharing so no one needs to know your email. Okay. And anybody else who needs these assets who can't get it from this link, do the same thing. So I want you to go ahead. Yeah. What's up, Rain?
Okay, 1 second.
So for anyone else, I want you to download that images folder. You'll also notice that the other folder is script. All of the code that we're gonna write today is in this folder and some extra script that we probably aren't gonna get to. So if you want to expand your game after this class, you'll be able to get those scripts later and mess with them. And if you're feeling behind too, you can also grab them there, all right? So yeah, what I want everyone to do is download the images in this folder, and I'm gonna send that email to you too in just 1 second here. But I want you to download the images in this folder. It is a Flappy Bird and it is a pipe. These are the only images we're gonna need today. But I want you to download them both. And then this is one of the really nice things about Unity. The project in the bottom left here, the project window is like our library if you've ever used Photoshop. It's everything that exists in this project, in this game, whether or not we're actually using it. So we can have stuff in here that we aren't actually using. So to get a new image into your game, all you have to do, oh, I'm showing the emails, I didn't mean to do that. All you need to do is drag and drop the images into that project. Literally just drag them from anywhere and drop them into the project, and they'll be in your game and ready to use, okay? So everybody do that. I'm gonna stop sharing for just a second and send people the link.
It's fine if you show them my junk email. I just never check on them.
Okay.
Did you, I'm sorry, Willem, I didn't know, you drag it actually to the assets folder in the project or to the project folder, or does it matter?
It doesn't matter, like it'll still work no matter where you drag it, but for organization's sake, put it in your assets folder.
You drag the folder, the entire folder to the assets folder to create an images folder?
Yes, you can go ahead and make an images folder. And for anyone who is waiting here while I send these emails, your challenge is to try to figure out how to make that image appear on your sprite. And then if you can, get it to just start manipulating it, see what you can do with it, okay?
I was playing around with Unity before this.
Yeah?
So, yeah, it didn't do much though. I know around what,
I
know.
stated.
You're already a pro, basically?
No, I'm not.
You will be though, one day, right?
I have an inanimate bird on my screen.
Nice, congratulations.
I'm waiting.
The love, yes. Sending it in just a second here. Okay. This is good for future. I'll just send this around ahead of time next time so that we don't have to do this in class. And almost done. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. It is sent for anyone who doesn't have it already. Okay. And if you don't have it, go ahead and go to that box, go to that link, and then download the two images, the bird and the pipe. And once again, what's that?
Just reloading my Gmail so it pops up.
Let me know if you didn't get it.
I didn't. Still loading, but I don't think I got it.
It's possible I misspelled your email. Are you Let's see. Let me check to make sure I spelled your email right.
Here, I can send
Oh,
it
look
to
at
you.
that. I misspelled it. Let me try again here. 1 second.
There was one time where I was trying to get trying to confirm my email for itch.io, but I accidentally spelled it with CH instead of CK.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't get the emails. But now I'm getting tons and tons of emails.
I mixed up your numbers. I did 86 instead of 68. My mistake. Okay.
Those are my lucky numbers.
I see. They're good numbers. All right. It's sent off. So download yourself the images. And to get them into your project, like I said, all you got to do is drag and drop. Okay? So drag the image, drop it into Unity. Now, as Matt was talking about, it doesn't necessarily matter where you drop it. However, the folder assets is named assets because of what that implies. And what does the word asset mean?
Like something in game, like a sprite is technically an asset.
Right. It is an object. It is a possession of some kind, right? So in this case, we want our images to be in the assets folder for organization's sake. I also encourage everybody here, even though this is going to be a very small game, to organize yourself appropriately. So I am going to make an images folder, and then I'm going to, which I can do by hitting that plus button and hitting folder. And then I can add my images to that folder just by dragging and dropping them as well. So now I have my images inside of the images folder, okay?
I don't want to get ahead, but I noticed that I needed to reset the transform before I did that for it to appear correctly. Am I getting ahead of you?
Yes-ish.
Okay.
I'll tell everybody about that now. So in order to make this sprite actually appear on screen, we now have two options. We went and found our assets. We went and found our images. Now we're going to actually apply them. What's that, Rain?
Still going through the drive, so found the two images, so we should be good.
Okay, so download
How did
those.
you put the images in again?
Where did I put them, or how did I put them in?
How did you put them in?
So I just dragged and dropped. So I opened this up, and then I dragged it from wherever it is. So whether it's on your desktop or in your downloads folder, literally just drag them, and then there's a project window. Drop them into the project window. Okay. You got that, Rain?
Okay, 1 second. Drag into here.
Hacking the mainframe up here. All right. So your new sprite, this empty box.
It says I can't.
Sprite box.
I can't put it here for some reason.
You can't put it into the project folder?
Oh, wait. Okay, wait, never mind. I got it, I think. Yeah.
All right.
Folder, not the actual Unity itself.
Yes, into the project folder, not into Unity itself, right here. Okay, so yeah, like I said, project is all of the assets that we have available to us, right? So I have my images in here now. On my sprite, I have an empty box. I can either drag and drop the images into that empty box by doing this, and now suddenly my bird is there. Or Pro Strat, I can click the little circle to the right of the sprite box, and this will open up a new window with all of the options that are available to me.
Is there a way of like reloading? Because I don't see it in here, even though I dropped it into the project folder.
It should immediately, do you see it in the project folder?
It is in the project folder. Oh, should I put it in assets?
It does have to be in assets, yes.
Okay, there we go. That's the problem.
There we go.
Still can't get it into the project.
Just by dragging and dropping?
Importing right now, and
I have it open as as the image in a new tab, and then I'm trying to drop it into the project, but it's not working.
So let me show you an alternative. If you're in the project and you right click on assets or anything in the project, one of your options will be reveal in Finder or reveal in File Explorer, whether you're on Mac or PC. Looks like Rain got it, good job. And if you click that, it'll open up the actual assets folder on your computer, and you can drag and drop it there too, and Unity will automatically find it.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm gonna turn off because I feel like it's draining my iPad's battery.
Okay. All right, so we've got a bird, and once again, there's an empty box for our sprite. We can drag and drop to that empty box to make the bird appear, or we can hit the circle to select anything. Now let's talk about a couple of the tools. When my bird is selected in the inspector, there are a number of tools in the top left I can use to move it. The first one on the very top left is just moving the camera around. It's moving where I am in the scene. We'll notice that this does not affect how the game looks, and that's because the camera has not actually been moved. This is just what I'm editing in the scene. This is kind of like behind the scenes, right? This is me doing my magic behind the stage. The next tool to the right is the move tool. This lets you move your bird. If you click on either of the arrows and drag either of the arrows, you're going to move it just along one axis. You're going to move it left and right, or you're going to move it up and down. If you click the square in the middle, you can move it along both at the same time. The next tool is my rotate tool. This makes a circle appear around my sprite. And when I drag along that circle, it actually rotates the sprite. The next tool is my scale tool. It looks a lot like my move tool, but instead of moving, it actually scales it along these axes. So I can scale it just along the Y, just along the X, or I can click the middle and scale both at the same time. Now, the last tool I'm going to show you here, well, I'll show you the next one, but you'll never use it. The last tool I'm going to show you, and the one that I use the most often, is my rect tool. Now, I like the rect tool because it behaves a lot like if I was manipulating an image in Microsoft Word or on Google Docs, where you get the four corners around your sprite, and you're allowed to resize it just as if, like I said, it was in Microsoft Word, where you can scale just along one axis or along both. And you can still move it by clicking on the image in the middle, and you can rotate it by clicking towards the corners. So my favorite is the rect tool because it makes the most intuitive sense in my head, but feel free to experiment with what you like the most. The last tool, and the one that I think is ridiculous, and I have yet to meet a single person in my whole life that actually uses this tool, is the next tool over, which is called move, rotate, or scale. And it does exactly what it sounds like. It can either move along the X and Y, or scale, or rotate all at once. And it's just too much and it's confusing, so I don't use it. All right,
Oh,
so
by the way,
what's up, Rain?
With you know the reset scale tool, I don't get like the oh, never mind, wrong tool.
You got it?
Yeah, got it.
Okay. So what are we noticing about the transform while we're playing with this guy?
It's changing.
It's changing, yeah. So the transform updates in real time. If I move this thing to the right, my X actually gets larger. If I move it up, my Y actually gets larger. Now, the nice thing about this is that I can actually edit these values. So now instead of using the tools, in your transform, I want you to set the position to 0, 0. And notice that your bird is now in the middle of the screen. You can also do that with rotation and with scale. So I can set this bird back to its default values this way. Now I'm actually going to scale this bird down so it fits on my screen a little bit better. Looks like maybe 0.5, maybe even 0.25, because we want to have plenty of space to have pipes moving past this bird, right? Okay. So let's actually get into some coding. Bum, bum, bum.
I still can't figure out. I still can't figure out how to put the bird in.
Oh no, okay, so here's what we're gonna do.
It's not working.
You should have, oh, are you zooming on a different screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so what's actually happening, Jazzy? You can't get the image into Unity?
No.
I can help you, I guess.
Are you, Jazzy, are you editing, you've tried dragging and dropping into the project and it doesn't work?
Yes.
And you've tried putting it in the Finder folder and it still doesn't work?
Yes, because like I'll click and drag it onto the like where you're supposed to put it, but it just won't drop.
Okay, so here, let me show you one more thing. Are you using a Mac or a PC, Jazzy?
A Mac.
Okay, so that's perfect. I'm also on a Mac. So I'm gonna, in my assets folder, you shouldn't need to do this, but just for the sake of getting through today, let's right click on our assets folder in the project and reveal in Finder. You do that?
Yes.
Okay, So now we can see a whole list of folders, right?
Yes.
There's an assets folder in there, right?
Yes.
Okay, open that up. And this is where your images need to go. Finder shouldn't be able to stop you from dropping stuff into here. So if this doesn't work, I don't know what's happening. So now open up another Finder window. I'm going to do new Finder window at the top of the file. And go and find those images. Probably they're going to be in your downloads.
Yeah.
And from your downloads, I want you to select them and drag and drop them into your assets.
Yes, it's working. Thank you.
Yes! And now when we go back to Unity, you should be able to see them, right?
The suspense.
Jazzy?
Done.
Yes.
Yay! All right. So Jazzy, your new sprite, you can drag and drop from your project into that empty box there to set the sprite. You want to drop into that sprite box, or the circle to the right of the sprite box, you can click and any of your options are available to you. You got a bird appearing on the screen? I think Rain is ready to go.
Perhaps. Hold on.
Okay,
Sorry.
that's okay. So
Be able to get Zoom working on here because I have it here.
this is just fine if you need it to.
Okay, but
Unless you need it to.
My iPad might run out of battery. This consistent charges and doesn't have any really like battery. So.
Okay, whatever works for you, Rain. Jazzy, you got it working?
His second rain before this rain leaves.
Okay. So Jazzy, I'm gonna keep moving, but we can totally pause as you need me to, okay?
Okay.
All right, so in my project, I'm gonna hit plus, and I'm gonna go to folder. And then I'm gonna make myself a scripts folder. We're actually gonna write some code here, okay? This is just for organization. I don't need to do this. This is just for organization. In my scripts folder, I'm gonna hit plus, and I'm gonna go down to C# script. It's almost the very top option, the second option. C# script. Unity is gonna allow me to choose a name for this thing. I'm gonna name it Jumper. Uppercase J, U-M-P-E-R, Jumper. So like I said, Unity works as a component-based system. Each of these components, the sprite render and the transform, is an individual component, an individual script. Every time you write a new script, while this is not always true, but at least for today, every time you write a new script, it's actually a component that we're able to attach to our game objects. So we're gonna write a jumper script. Can anybody guess what jumper is going to do?
Gonna make your bird jump.
Yeah, it's gonna be the thing that knows how to jump. And then I can attach that jumper to my bird, and my bird will be able to jump. So why would I write a jumper script? What's up, Brain?
I'm not quite there yet, so.
Did you make a new C# script?
No. Just
Okay.
one second. I'm not quite there yet.
Sure. Jazzy, is everything okay with you?
Yes, I got it working.
Yay! All right, and you made a new C# script?
Wait. Could you let me in? Because I just popped.
Yes, I can. You should be, it's letting you in now. It'll take a second, but it's going. Okay, so why would I write a script called Jumper instead of a script called Bird?
Because Jumper, like, you can easily look at it and know what it's gonna do.
Yes. And, hello, Rain, you're back. And what else? There's one more reason.
The bird might do something other than jump.
Yeah, and I want to reuse my jumper. So let's say I've got my bird that needs to know how to jump. I slap a jumper on it, and now it knows how to jump. But let's say I'm building Mario now, and I need Mario to know how to jump. I take my jumper and I put it on him, and now he knows how to jump. So it's a very, like I said, it's a very visually based, logically based, component-based programming system. And it's really awesome because all I gotta do is I make an object on the screen, whether it's like a spiky box, and I just put on all of the components that I know it's going to need.
How do you make a
script?
Yes, sorry.
So in the project, bottom left, I'm going to hit plus, and I'm going to go to C# script.
Bottom left. Where's the bottom?
The project tab.
There is. Oh yeah, project.
Yep. And then hit the plus button.
Yes.
And there's a C# script.
Okay, got it.
And then it will ask you what you want to name it. It'll just automatically open it up. Name it Jumper with an uppercase J. Jumper. All right.
It's blank. I don't see anything. Just kidding.
You hit plus C# script.
1 second.
Okay. So our bird now, the first thing before we write this jumper script we're going to do, and you can definitely do this one, Rain, is make physics actually apply to this bird. So this is something that's incredibly powerful in Unity, and that they do.
I think we got it here.
Awesome.
Wait, open. For some reason, it didn't open on him. Wait, why did it open in Visual Studio? What?
That's what you want. So just leave that open for now, and come back to Unity with this, Rain.
It says, okay, 1 second. Okay, there we go. We should.
Okay.
Cool.
So we are going to have physics apply to this sprite. All right.
It keeps on saying like sign in. It just 1 second. Sorry.
You may need to sign into Visual Studio.
Yeah. Think
so.
I do.
Rain, just do this with me right now. Okay.
Okay.
So come back to Unity and click on your bird, on your new sprite. By the way, if you haven't already, you can totally name your new sprite. I'm going to name this bird. So right now, in the very top of the screen, you're going to notice 3 different buttons: a play, a pause, and a step button. That play button at the very top of your screen is actually how you run your game. This is another thing that's very powerful about Unity and was not always true for game engines in the past. So this game is actually running. If I put this game on my phone and I handed it to a friend, this is what they would experience. Right now, though, my game doesn't do much, right? So let's make it a little bit more interesting.
Right.
Our bird is going to need physics, right? Our bird is going to need to fall.
Yes.
Need gravity.
So
let's, on that bird, yes, on that bird, I want you to come into the inspector.
Component.
Yes, and add component.
Should I share my screen? Because I can do that.
No.
Okay,
just
add
follow along with me
component.
right now. Yes.
And physics 2D.
Yes. So, Rain.
Yes.
Will you mute yourself for a little bit while we're going over this? And if you have a question, come back in. Just
sure.
I'm
1 second.
Along. Sure. Awesome. But feel free to unmute yourself if you have a question, okay? Awesome, thank you. So I'm gonna hit add component. And then when that pops up, there are many, many, many options here. But I'm going to search in that empty box by typing in rigid body 2D. And there's gonna be 2 options here, a rigid body and a rigid body 2D. Something to remember about Unity is that it was built to make 3D games first. They made a 3D game engine first. So if you see something that is not, say, 3D after it, assume that it is 3D. They will explicitly say that it is a 2D object if they need to, okay? So make sure you add a rigid body 2D, not a regular one. And that's as simple as it is to get physics working in your game. That's one of the things that's amazing about Unity. Your rigid body 2D is the physics object in Unity. It lets Unity know that you want physics to apply to your bird. And so now when I hit play, my bird falls endlessly to its doom. So sad.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, little bird. So that is the opposite of our jumper, right? We want to make a jumper. We want to make this thing be able to jump up and down. And we have it falling now. And so we need to make it go up. We need to actually apply some force upwards. And that's what we're going to do with our jumper script. So if you open up your jumper script, which you can do by double clicking on it, Unity will open your default text editor. Double click in your project on the bottom left of the screen, double click on your jumper script. Now, for many of you, you're gonna have Visual Studio or VS Code as your default editor. That's what Unity will install for you. If you do not have a default editor, you may open it up in text edit or something like that. It's gonna be a lot harder but you can at least follow along for today. And then after today, download VS Code or Visual Studio, and you'll be able to edit your code in a nice, pretty environment like this one. All right. So this is code. Ba-ba-bum. This is the scary part, but not really. Code's actually awesome. Anybody can code. So first of all, we'll notice the top of our class that we have named our class Jumper. And if you haven't, if it says something else here, public class Jumper, then that's a problem. And I want you to rename it Jumper with an uppercase J. What's up, Rain?
I don't have an account and I need an account for Visual Studio.
Okay, so if you don't have an account, what you can do for now, you can make an account if you want, but if you want to make sure you can catch up, you can once again reveal in Finder, and it's going to show you that script, jumper.cs, and you can hit open with text edit or any other text editor.
Notepad for Windows.
Okay, I'll make
Notepad
like
for Windows.
I'll make a
An account?
account after this.
Yes,
Or should
okay.
I do it now? Okay,
You can-
I'm just gonna open it,
Mhm.
the notebook, and make an account at the same time so I can catch up.
That's great problem solving right there. I would say yes, do that. Yeah, so it's going to be harder to do it in here because there's no automatic formatting, but you can totally script and text edit. This is what way back in the day, the people who made Mario and the people who made all of the original games were doing. They were editing in things even more simple than text edit. All of these fancy gimmicks we have spoil us. All right, so we have our script here, and we'll notice inside of our script that there are two functions. A function is one chunk of logic. And we know that they are functions because they are named, followed by parentheses, and they have an opening and a closing bracket. So what are our two functions?
Start and update.
Yes. And on top of our start function and on top of our update function, we'll notice comments, which is code that is just there to leave us notes and tell us what's going on. It doesn't actually affect the game. But those comments happen to be telling us what these two functions do. So our start function is all of the stuff that's going to happen when we first open up our game, when we first hit play. Anything that's inside of here will happen when we first start our game. Our update is called once per frame. Now, what does that mean? What does it mean once per frame?
That every frame it'll do that.
Mm-hmm. How many frames a second are there?
60.
Yeah, so Unity is going to be aiming for 60 frames a second. So whatever you, and depending on how slow or fast your computer is, and depending on how difficult the operations are at this particular frame, you may have fewer or more than that at any given moment. But in general, you're going to have 60 frames a second, which means anything that you put in update is going to happen 60 times a second. All right, but for this script, for our jumper, we actually don't need either of our functions. These are default functions that Unity has for you. I want you to just delete them. All you need is the class, public class jumper, monobehavior, opening bracket, and closing bracket.
So get rid of the update and start, like void update and start up, void
Yep.
start.
Yep. So it should look, whoops, it should look exactly like mine. Public class jumper, monobehavior, opening bracket, and closing bracket. Okay. So we are editing a class, a script.
Oh,
that
it
is
doesn't say
called-
jumper. I'm going.
You can rename that right here. Just double click on it and literally just type jumper. Just delete and name it whatever it needs to be. Now a misnomer there just for everybody. This is very common when you're getting started. If I rename my script in here, jumper 2. Whoops, I don't know how I managed to do that. If I rename my script right here and I come back out, once Unity compiles, you'll notice that the name of the script itself did not change. The name of the file itself did not change. And this is important because those two have to be the same. So if I was going to rename my script, I have to do it in both places. And I right click on this and then hit rename and change it to jumper 2. If these two names are out of sync, it's not going to be able to find your script. So just make sure that they're the same thing, and that if you change the name of one of them, you have to change both. Okay, so let's write what's called a variable. On this empty fresh line right here, I'm gonna type public space float space jump amount equals 5F semicolon. Now, if you've never coded before, this is gonna look real scary. If you have coded before, this is gonna look real basic. So we're gonna talk a little bit about this and then get going, okay? So there are, let's see, 4, maybe 5, depending on how you think about it, declarations on this line. The first one is the word public. Now, we're not going to talk a ton about that today, but this is what's called your accessibility. This is who's allowed to look at this variable. The second one is float. This is what type of variable this thing is. Who can define the word variable for me?
What it's going to do?
A variable is actually...
data type.
Yes. So a variable is actually a piece of data. In this case, we have a variable of the type float. What is a float?
Go up.
Almost.
That's-
So in math terms,
Float means that it's a floating point, so that it's got a decimal, but you don't know where it can have a decimal.
yes, yeah, so this is extra confusing, but a float is actually just a number that has a decimal point. So instead of being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's 1.5 or 1.6 or 3.14159265, et cetera, right? So a float is just a number with a decimal place. And then we name our variable, and we can name our variable anything we want. I can literally call this anything we want. Doesn't matter. But for our sakes, we should name them things that make sense. And this is going to be the amount that we jump, how high we actually jump. So we're going to call it jump amount. Okay, so let's write our first function. Well, let me finish a little bit more here. So we are then giving a default value to this variable. We're setting it equal to 5F. This is a little bit confusing, but in C#, an F designates that this number is indeed a decimal number, is a float specifically. So if I put 5.0, then we know that it has a decimal. But because I'm just putting 5 here, Unity needs to know that this is a float. So I have to put an F after that number. And then whenever we finish a line of code, except in a couple of other cases, which I'll show you one right after this, we always end our line with a semicolon. Computers are not intelligent. As amazing as they work, they cannot make leaps of logic yet. So they don't know when a line ends unless we explicitly tell them. So we have to say, hey, the line has ended. And we do that with a semicolon. Okay, so I want you to save this, and I want you to come back to Unity. And we're just going to notice something here, okay? So in Unity, on your bird, I want you to click on your bird, and I want you to click Add Component. And then I want you to search for jumper.
Yay! I got Visual Studio working, but I already wrote your code, so we're...
Awesome. Good job, Rain. So on your bird, I want you to hit Add Component, and I want you to search for jumper, and then click on jumper. Now this is going to be your first test. If you can't find jumper, that means something is wrong in your code. But as long as you can find jumper, everything is good for now. And I want you to notice that you can add this jumper component just like any other component. You now have a jumper component. And this jumper component has a single variable that you're allowed to edit. And what's that variable?
Jump amount.
Jump amount. Congratulations, y'all. You wrote your own component. And just like the components that Unity has built in for you, like your sprite renderer, your jumper has an infinite amount of possibilities of how you actually set it up. So we set up this jump amount for us. Now, why? Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I'm here, so now what?
Yes. So click on your bird, click Add Component, and search for your jumper. And then add your jumper component by double-clicking on it.
On mine, it says invalid token float in class structure interface member of declaration.
Oh boy. So you have an error in your code somewhere. For now, because we want to make sure we can get through the class, what I'm going to have you do is I will send the correct code via email again to everybody.
It
Copy
says
and paste this into your code.
It says that the jump amount, so what should we set that to?
So for now, just set that to 5.
Okay,
Okay.
it's defaulted on 5, so we're good.
Perfect. Yeah. So why do we have this variable here for us? Why is that here? Why have it at all?
Because it tells the computer how high you want the bird to jump.
Exactly, yeah. So if I have my bird and I have Mario again, my 2 examples of using my jumper, my bird might want to jump a certain height, but Mario might want to jump higher. So by making myself a public variable, something that I can actually edit in the inspector, I have an even more reusable class. My jumper is now extra awesome. Okay? So here we go. We're going to write a little bit more. And Jazzy, I will send these completed scripts. You can also feel free. We're about to finish this class, this script. Class is the same word as script, essentially, at least for now.
Yeah, but we're not. It's not the end of the class yet.
It's not the end of the class, yes.
There's still an hour to go.
Still an hour to go. Okay, so I'm going to write myself, though, a function at this point. Inside of my jumper, on a new line, I'm going to write public void jump. And then I'm going to give it 2 parentheses. And then I'm going to give it brackets, opening and closing brackets.
Just give me a second. I'm still doing that.
Yes. So let's talk about this as people catch up here. This is what's called a function. Remember me talking about a function earlier? What is a function?
It's an action that you want your code to do whenever you
it's
call
a
it.
single action, exactly. It's a single action that we want our code to do when we call it. So what is our jump function probably going to do?
We're gonna make the bird jump.
It's going to make the bird jump. Do we remember what the name of the component is that does physics stuff?
Rigid
Body.
Yeah, it's our rigid
2D.
body 2D. Yes. So here is the magic of Unity. Right now, we have a jumper
I
script.
didn't quite catch the.
Don't worry, we're gonna keep going. I'll show you in a second. I'll be right back, okay? So we got a jumper script and we got a rigid body 2D. So something that's really, really common is that our components will need to talk to each other. So for instance, our rigid body knows about physics. And in fact, if we were to drop down this little info panel, we'll see that it has velocity. Our rigid body 2D knows about the velocity of the bird. So we're going to edit that velocity and make the y velocity higher to make the bird appear to jump, okay? So here's what we're gonna do. On our jump object, in our jump function, our public void jump, parentheses, open bracket and closing bracket. In between my opening and closing bracket, I'm gonna write get component, rigid body 2D, dot, parentheses, dot velocity, and you're gonna need to copy everything I write here exactly as I write it, uppercase and all. New vector 2, 0f jump amount. So that was a lot of stuff all at once, but I'm gonna tell you about what it all means, okay? So my public void jump, get component, rigid body 2D, dot velocity equals new vector 2, 0f jump amount. Okay, so the very first section of this code, get component, less than symbol, greater than symbol, rigid body 2D, parentheses. What this does is it gets any component that is attached to the same object as this script. And I just tell it what type of component that I want to get. So I could, for instance, get the sprite renderer the exact same way. I could say get component, sprite renderer, parentheses. And that will actually allow me to access the sprite renderer and do stuff to it. All right?
You keep on moving back and forth, so I'm like trying to.
Yes. Go ahead, copy the script. So this allows me to, this is my cat, everybody. This allows me to communicate with the rigid body and do stuff to it. Now, in this case, what are we actually doing to it?
We're changing the velocity.
Yeah, we're changing the velocity. It's that simple.
Is that a 0 or is that a D?
Where?
Like O's.
It's a 0F. Yeah, it's a 0.
0F.
0F, comma, jump amount. All right. Now I'm going to condense this class a little bit, this script a little bit. Instead of what I was going to do, where I was going to write 2 separate scripts, I'm going to write another function inside of this one. Okay.
For some reason, my rigid body's not blue like yours. My rigid body.
Did you spell it exactly the same way with
rigid?
With uppercases and all? So it has to be an uppercase R, and then it has to be a 2 and an uppercase D.
Yes, I spelled it exactly.
So Willem,
Here, I'll share. Okay, do you want me to share my screen?
It may be okay as long as Unity isn't complaining. What's up, Fung?
I was going to say mine's the same thing. Like it doesn't autofill, so maybe there's a reference or something missing in the library or the project.
It probably is just the different versions of Visual Studio representing it differently. As long as you're not getting any crashes in Unity.
Yeah.
Nah, wait, let me check.
If you switch back to Unity, this is why we have our console open. Your console will light up red and tell you bad stuff if something's broken.
My console isn't doing anything. It's blank.
That means everything is A-okay. Okay.
Okay,
so, good.
So it's just something weird.
Yeah, it's just that they're different versions of Visual Studio, so they represent the code different ways. That's all. Okay, so we're going to write one more function in here. Remember earlier when I said you didn't need your update function? Well, I lied because I'm trying to condense this class for you to make it a little bit simpler. So we're going to make inside of our jumper, we're going to put back our update function. We're going to write public void update parentheses. Remember that your parentheses are how you know that this is a function in addition to your brackets, an opening and a closing bracket. Remind me again what update does.
It runs every frame.
Yeah, it runs every frame. So 60 times a second, whatever we put in here is going to happen. So what would happen if we put jump in there right now?
It would jump every frame.
It would jump 60 times a second. Probably not what we want, right? So we need to do a little bit of filtering here. We don't want to jump every frame. We only want to jump when what happens?
We click.
Yeah, we click. So we have some built-in functions that we can use here. Some static methods is what they're called. And we can also use what we call an if statement to use them. So if I write if, and then put some parentheses, and then give this if its own brackets, who knows what an if statement does? Matt, what's an if statement do?
It says if this thing is true, or if this thing is true, then do the stuff in the brackets.
Yeah. So let's, here, I'll give you an example here. So here's an integer, which just means a number that doesn't have decimal places. So it's sort of the opposite of float, right? So if I have an int that is equal, if I call it, I don't know, example int, and it's equal to 5. If I have this if statement that says if example int is greater than 2, then we're going to do stuff.
Do stuff.
In this case, are we going to do stuff?
Yes.
Well, 5 is greater than 2, so yes.
Yes, 5 is greater than 2. So yes, we are going to do stuff. Now, what if I write this? If example int is less than 2, we do stuff. Are we going to do stuff?
We will not do any stuff.
No, we're not going to do any stuff because 5 is not greater than 2. What if we did example int equals 5? Would we do stuff?
Yes.
Yes, because 5 equals 5.
Yes, we would do stuff.
Good job.
That's
yes.
not actually a command, but you can make it, I guess,
yes,
if you use custom commands.
You're totally right. We could make a function called do stuff if we want. And that's why Unity is complaining, because we don't have a function called do stuff. So we're going to use our if statement. And we're going to use a built-in static class, which just means we can access it without a variable.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Called input. And we're going to say input dot get mouse button down. input dot get mouse button down, all uppercase first letters. And then I'm gonna do parenthesis 0. If input dot get mouse button down 0. And then inside of my if statement, all I'm gonna do is jump. So input stores a whole lot of information for us, and you can investigate this more later yourself. For instance, you could ask if a certain key is pressed, or if the player has swiped on the screen, maybe you wanted to make Fruit Ninja, or anything like that, right? But in this case, input can be used to check if somebody has clicked the mouse. Input.get mouse button down. If the player has clicked the mouse, then we know we can jump. So if input.mouse button down, we have clicked, then we know we can jump. Now, this 0 is what's called a parameter, and it modifies how the function works. In this case, we're just telling the input which mouse button we're talking about. 0 is for the left, and 1 is for the right.
It's for the right.
Yes, you nailed it. Okay, so if we come back to Unity, assuming nobody has errors in their console, if we hit play,
errors.
You do have some errors. So I'll show it.
I know.
For anyone who's
I said no errors.
Oh, perfect. So if you hit play now at the top of your screen, your bird should fall. And now when you click inside of the game, make sure you click in the game window. Your bird will actually jump.
Wait
now you
for
have
it to
a jumping Flappy
load.
bird.
Second.
Does everybody have a jumping bird?
Doesn't work for some
Doesn't
reason.
work?
Mine's not working either.
Clicking right inside of the box.
Yeah, mine's working, but I have an interesting thing. I'm looking at your screen. I'm looking at mine first. Somehow I must have moved my camera or my bird because I see it in the scene window and it's jumping, but I don't see it in the game window.
Okay, so there are many things that could be happening here.
Yeah.
But probably your Z position has been changed on your bird. So your camera can only see so much. So you have to make sure your bird is at Z0. It's much more, there's a lot more going on here than just that, but for the sake of our 2-hour class, that's what I'm gonna tell you.
Okay, so I changed my bird to, that was the, Z0 position.
Yeah, did that fix it?
I'm getting an error.
Okay.
I'm
Let
getting
me fix
an
this
error.
one. Let me fix this one, Rain, and then I'll get to you, okay? So did that fix it, Matt?
No, that did not fix it.
Click on your main camera then, and make sure your main camera is Z-10.
Main camera Z-10. I bet that's what it is. That is, you're a genius. Okay.
Yay. So just very quickly here, the reason that worked is because our game is actually 3D. Like I said, Unity was built to make a 3D game before it was ever built to make 2D games. So in the top of our scene, if you want to, you can click that 2D button, and that will toggle between 2D view and 3D view. So what had happened to Matt is that his camera got moved forward in front of his bird in 3D, which means the camera can actually no longer see the bird.
That's exactly what happened. Now, did you at the beginning of the class change the Z position of your camera, or did I
didn't. Probably you were just messing around with stuff when you changed it without thinking about it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so you have an error, Rain?
Yes, it says 211606 acid/jumper.cs 22 comma 80 error CS1002.
So Rain, why don't you share your screen now with us, and we'll walk through fixing a bug together, because this is a very important part.
Disable participant screen.
Here, you should, let me enable it. There you go. You should be able to enable it now.
Can you see it?
Yes, I can. Okay.
Okay, cool.
So
this is the error.
So just leave it here for a second, Rain, because I want to talk about this. So that error message, when it's red like that, that means that you're having a crash. Your game will not run. And until you fix it, your game will not run. If it's yellow, that means your game can keep going. It's going to be okay, but it's probably still not a good thing. And you generally shouldn't ignore yellows, although you will be able to make your game run. This red error is telling you, first of all, what script your problem is in. So what script is this problem in, Rain? Yeah, it's the jumper. Great. Now, in those parentheses, you're going to see that 22, 80. that's telling you what line number your problem is on.
So it's 22.
So it's line number 22, yeah.
Which is get component rigid body velocity plus new bit vector 32.
Yep. Yes.
0F jumping.
Yes. So the last thing that this thing says, error CS 1102 or 1002, that's the actual error message, the error code, and then it tells you what's wrong. In this case, it's saying semicolon expected. That's a little bit hard to read, but that's because it's a computer. It's not very good at talking to you.
Oh, did I not put a semicolon here?
That's probably all that happened, yeah. So that line needs a semicolon at the end.
Can you see this?
If you save your script and come back, I can't see your script. No, I can only see Unity.
Oh, because I chose that's the script.
Yeah. But if
Save
you come back now,
jumpers. Yep. If I come back, it's
Unity
loading.
will, yep, it's loading now. Oh no, bit vector 32. Oh, okay. So you just used the wrong kind of vector. So your script probably reads velocity equals new bit vector 32.
Yep.
It really needs to be new vector 2. Uppercase V, E-C-T-O-R 2.
New vector?
New vector 2, yes.
I don't know what happened there. Maybe it auto-corrected.
It probably autocorrected. Unity does that.
Okay, save jumper.
Oh, Starscream. Needs the chat, needs the script. Here we go.
There's still something else.
Yep.
I can't read that fully.
Only assignments. So click on that for me.
What, here?
If you click on it, you'll see that it comes down at the bottom and you can read the whole thing. So only assignment, call, increment, decrement, await, and new object expressions can be used as a statement. So probably you just have a little bit of syntax here. The script.
You want I can share new share to
sure.
to my script.
Go ahead.
So new share
Yeah.
to my well, 1 second. I need to find my script. Share. There it is. So that's my script.
Perfect. Okay. So jump, get rigid body, velocity, plus. Aha. So the only problem here is that you are doing plus instead of equals.
Oh,
22.
there
Yep.
we go.
So we're setting
just
our
say that.
velocity equal to a new vector rather than adding to our velocity, right?
Wait, it's loading and wait. It's just refreshing.
Yes.
It is.
Yes.
Should I stop sharing now? Oh,
Yeah,
there's no errors anymore.
Yay! So yeah, you can go ahead and
Here.
stop sharing and your bird should jump.
Cool, right? Okay,
All right.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, not bye, but just,
Can everybody see my
Yeah, there
script
you go.
again?
Yep.
Good. Okay.
Mine's not jumping, but
Here, let me
everything
try.
that you said was correct. I don't have any errors in the
You
screen.
don't have any errors?
Camera position's right.
Do you have your jumper component attached to your bird?
What?
Yes.
Hey, it's working again.
Yay!
Woo!
So click on your
Boing.
bird, and then at the bottom of the inspector, hit add component and search for jumper. So your bird's not going to know how to jump until you have added the jumper component.
Up and away. Woo.
Did you get that, Jassy? Was that the problem?
Yes, it's working now.
Yay! All right, so let's keep
Hey,
going.
fixing everybody's problems all
Fixing
at
everybody's
once.
problems all at once. Okay, so let's, so we have a jumping bird. Congratulations, everybody. Your first component is done. You're true game developers now. So let's go ahead and add our pipes, because a Flappy Bird game isn't much of a Flappy Bird game without some pipes, right? So in our images, if we wanted to, we could click plus and go down to 2D objects and add a sprite, the same thing that we did for our bird, right? But what we can actually do, Unity is smart enough to detect what we're dragging into our scene. So we can actually just click and drag our pipe image into the scene, and we'll immediately get a sprite that is automatically set to the correct image.
There's a plus thingy sign on my mouse when I go.
A plus thingy sign?
Yeah. And then,
Can you drag the pipe into the scene? Does that
yeah,
work?
I can. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I'm saying.
So just do that for now.
Pop.
Okay,
There it is.
so we got a pipe in our screen. Now, how many pipes does Flappy Bird have together? Is it just one pipe?
No, bunch of pipes, I think.
Yeah, and it's 2 pipes parallel, right? Like the top and the bottom. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to click on your pipe, and I want you to hit Command D if you're on a Mac, or Control D if you're on a PC, and you will duplicate your pipe. You'll wind up with another copy of your pipe. And then to flip your pipe upside down,
It's 180, I think, or 90.
yeah, you can rotate it, but here's another hot tip for you. In your sprite renderer, there's a flip line where you can flip X or Y. If I click flip Y, my sprite will be upside down. Okay?
Oh, wait, where? Or I can just use, wait, what? Okay.
Everybody have two sprites? Top and bottom? Okay.
I don't know where the flip thing is. Oh, flip. Y?
Yes, sprite renderer,
there we go,
flip Y.
now.
Awesome.
There.
So I want you to position your two pipes
Flipes?
so that they are roughly, yes, they are roughly the same X and Y. They are roughly opposite of each other on the top and bottom. And then here's what I want you to do. So if we wanted to, we could add a script to both of these pipes and move them independently. But that doesn't really make sense, right? In Flappy Bird, the pipes always move together. So we want these two things to be somehow linked. So what I want you to do is in your hierarchy, hit plus and hit create empty. You now have an empty object. Plus create empty. What does the empty object have on it for components?
Transform.
Yes, it still has a transform. And that's because even though this is an empty object, it has no image, it has no camera, it still exists somewhere. And we can tell that if we click on our arrows tool, we can still see its position and move its position, right?
Yep.
So that object still exists, even though it's totally invisible. And what I want you to name this object is pipe pair. This is going to be the thing that holds both of our pipes. Pipe pair.
Done.
We're getting there, y'all. It's almost a game, kind of. All right, I want you to select, kind of almost a game. I want you to select both of your pipes, just like you would in Finder or something. You shift click, or you can control click. So select both of your pipes, and then drag and drop them on top of the pipe pair.
Waiting for you now.
And you'll know that you did that correctly if your pipe pair suddenly has a little drop down arrow next to it, and both of the pipes appear underneath it. So what we've essentially just done is what's called childed those pipes to the pipe pair. We dragged and dropped. Yes, we dragged and dropped each of the pipes on top of the pipe pair. So literally drag and drop them in the hierarchy.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Yep, I got it.
Awesome, good job, Rain. So our pipe pair is now connected. If we click on the pipe pair and not the pipes, click on the pipe pair, and then click on that move tool, we'll notice that we can move the pipes together. So this is what's called a parent-child relationship. The parent is the pipe pair, and the children are the pipe. They are now connected together. But if I click on just one of the pipes, I can still move it independently. And we'll notice that its position actually doesn't reflect the real world anymore. If I set its position to 0, and then I move this pipe pair over here, and I click back on that pipe, its position is still 0. Even though in the real world, 0 is right here, right? And that's because this is now a local position. It is the position in relation to that parent, okay? Okay. So we've got a pipe pair. I am going to, for the sake of speeding us along here, I'm gonna have us download the next script, okay? So back on the Google Doc where you got your images, I want you to go to the scripts folder, and I want you to download the pipe controller. And if we wind up with extra time, we can actually talk about how this works, but I wanna make sure you guys can get this script to work and get your game working before we leave here today, okay?
But you only sent me the images thing. You didn't send me the scripts.
Did I? You should have the whole folder. You should have both objects.
Well,
both
I only saw images. And
Did you go back and check?
I
I can send this too. Why not?
Yeah.
Expedite the process.
Yeah, the only thing there is. Wait, what? Wrong guy. Wait, don't. Confusion.
So I sent it to you over the same email again, okay?
Okay.
So go ahead and download your, specifically your, what did I lose it? Pipe controller. Download your pipe controller. And then just like your images, you can drag and drop it into your project. And if you have to, Jazzy, you can do the same trick. I don't know why Unity is having problems, but you can totally drag and drop it into your folders here as well.
You sent me a confirmation. I don't see the Google Drive.
You don't see the Google Drive?
You sent me a confirmation.
So I just sent you another link for sharing.
But
I didn't. Hold on here. Let me try again. Okay. That should do it. Okay. So download that script. So once you have the script in Unity, I want you to click on the pipe pair and add component pipe controller. Now the pipe controller, you should, so catch up with us. I'm gonna keep moving so that everybody here
I didn't get it.
I just emailed you another time.
But I didn't get it. I don't see your email that you just emailed.
Is it 68 or 86? Is this still the wrong one?
68.
Okay. Here we go. Oh, that's not what I meant. Hold on here. There you go. Okay. Sent it again. Well, I've sent it to the correct one this time. All right. So on your pipe pair, download your pipe controller script from that folder, drag it into your project, or drag it into your Finder window for your project. And then once you've done that, I want you to add a component to your pipe pair, pipe controller. And as soon as you do that, you guys are actually going to notice it do some stuff for you. Once you hit play, your pipe is actually going to immediately start moving to the left. And once it moves too far to the left, it will appear on the other side of the screen. So we can see it
For some
moving.
reason, you still sent me it's still just images. There's nothing else.
Are you sure you clicked the right link there? Because I just sent another.
Click your use link. It's Google Drive folders sharing. One second. Maybe I haven't. Oh, for some reason it went to my student instead of my Gmail.
I'm going to send you all of the scripts right now, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Yes. It's no problem. It's okay. Deep breaths. All right. So I've sent you all the scripts in one email. You won't even need to go to Google Drive.
Looking at emails and stuff.
But you'll notice.
Because he has to send me the scripts for some reason. Okay.
You'll notice now. Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Okay,
so you'll notice now that your pipes are automatically moving to the left. And when they get too far, they actually appear on the other side of the screen. And not only that, but they actually randomize themselves a little bit. So this time, this pipe is a little bit higher. And when it gets to the other side of the screen, it's going to come back once it gets there. This is a pretty slow pipe. And we notice this time, it's a whole heck of a lot lower. So here's what I need you to do. Your pipes are now functional, except they aren't going to affect our bird yet.
So I just download pipe controller, right?
Just download pipe controller, yeah, for now.
Cool.
And those other ones are for you after class. You can use them and try to figure out how they work, okay? But so if I stuck my bird right here, and then I hit play, you'll notice that the bird can go straight through it, right? And that's because, once again, Unity is expecting some kind of component to tell it that that's not how it's supposed to work. Unity is expecting what's called a collider. So on your bird, I want you to go down to Add Component, and I want you to search for Circle Collider 2D. And as soon as you add your Circle Collider 2D to your bird, you're gonna notice that it gets a green outline in the scene. You will not see that in the game. That's normal. That's what it's supposed to be. But in the scene, you're gonna see a green outline. This green outline is actually the edge of what will impact with this bird. So if something hits it up here, it's gonna run into the bird.
Question mark. So where do you put, oh wait, I have an error, like a yellow one this time.
Okay.
There are inconsistent line endings in Asset Pipe Controller CS.
You can ignore that one.
Oh yeah, okay.
You can just
So
pretend
do
that
I
one
just
doesn't
drag it
exist.
to, do I add the component to pipe pair?
Yes, to the pipe pair, the parent object, add component pipe controller. Now, so our bird now has a collider. So Rain, once you do that, also on your bird,
Yes.
hit add component and add a Circle Collider 2D, a Circle Collider 2D. This is the thing that allows us to know whether or not we're colliding with stuff, whether or not we're running into other stuff. Awesome. Now, we'll notice this Circle Collider seems a little big, right? And when we're building games for people, something that's really, really common is that our players are gonna feel cheated. It could be a completely fair game and they're still gonna feel cheated because we're human beings and that's kind of how we do, right? In this case though, they might actually feel cheated because if a pipe runs into them up here and they die, they're gonna be like, I didn't die, I didn't touch that pipe. So very important when we're building games like this is to make sure our players don't feel cheated. And in this very small example of this, we can fix that just by changing the radius of our Circle Collider 2D. If we make this radius smaller, which when I was testing this earlier, 1 seems about right. The circle is now smaller than the bird actually is. And so if we ran with our nose into the pipes, we actually wouldn't die, but that's actually good. Give the player a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. If they just touch their nose to the pipes and they don't die, they're gonna feel really good. They're gonna be like, whoa, I almost died and somehow I avoided it. That's actually a good moment to give your player. So make the radius of your Circle Collider 2D 1. And that's how we affect that Circle Collider. Now, on each of your pipes individually, you're gonna have to do this individually on your pipes. Click on your pipe.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When the pipes go off screen, they don't come back again for.
They never do?
You have to wait a little bit longer,
Wait.
probably.
It takes a long time, yeah.
Speed, I can change the speed though.
You can totally change the speed, yeah. That's one of the things that's awesome about our little setup here. I can make that speed much higher and it will move much faster.
Okay, but that's okay. I'll mess around with it after.
Okay. So on each of your pipes individually, not the pipe pair, I want you to add component Box Collider 2D. And once again, when we do that, we're gonna notice that our pipe automatically gets this green outline around it. Unity does its best to use the correct size of collider. It's not always right, like we saw with our bird, but in this case, it looks pretty dang correct, right? It's like perfectly around the edge. So let's do that to both of our pipes. Yep. So both of our pipes, add component, Box Collider 2D. And now what we will see is if we move our bird in front of one of our pipes and hit play, we're actually gonna get pushed back. So now we have a game where these colliders are interacting with each other.
I didn't see that, but no.
You'll have to have the bird actually run into the pipes to see it happen, right?
Okay, right.
So here's how the game is meant to work. When we have one of these pipe pairs, these pipes are resetting to the other side of the screen when they reach the edge, right? So all we actually need is to make a bunch of them and give them some space from each other. I don't remember exactly. I think I made maybe 8, something like that. And that seemed to be about the right width, about the right number of them. But if I make a bunch of them now, they're all gonna randomize their position a little bit and then move to the left. And once they reach the left, they're gonna appear on the other side of the screen and reset their position. And so now I actually have a functional version of Flappy Bird. This is now an endless game where the player is scoring points as they move through this pipe.
So how
Okay.
many? So how many are we adding?
I added 6, and that seemed about right with a little bit of space in between all of them. But this is the point where you can start to really make it your own. You know, what seems right? Does it seem right to have 6? Does it seem right to have 7? The other thing I'm going to do is, actually, no, let's leave that for now. Okay, so does everybody have the game up to this point? Does everybody have a bunch of pipes that all reset?
Something's wrong now. My
Okay.
bird is rotating all the time
Oh, okay.
for some reason, and
Yes.
all the pipes spawn together.
Okay, so when I create my pipes, Rain, you'll notice that in my game, I actually gave them some space. Did you do that?
Okay, yeah, I forgot to do that.
Yeah, so that's one thing to do first.
I didn't catch when you made your duplicates. So you
Yep.
made a copy of the pipe pair object, and then which thing did you move?
That's actually a very good point. So I duplicated the pipe pair object,
Right.
and then I moved the pipe pair, not the pipes.
Got it. Okay.
Because we want to move the parent to make sure that we don't wind up with some weird relationship, right? So move the parent object, not the children. Now, as for making the bird rotate, that's actually just because physics is happening. When it runs into a wall, it's getting knocked around and rotating. But Unity allows us to stop that if we don't want it. So Rain, if you want to stop your bird from rotating, click on your bird and scroll down into the rigid body 2D component.
Well, it shouldn't happen if it does when I spread out the tubes, because it only happens because all the things happen at
Okay,
once.
yeah. So that's only going to happen when they run into each other. But just for anyone who wants to know, in your rigid body 2D, there's a constraints drop down. If you click that, it'll drop down. And you can freeze your Z rotation, which will stop you from rotating at all, along the Z axis at least. And so now if I run into these pipes, I don't actually rotate, right? Okay, so we're at 6:40 now. Does everybody have this working yet? Rain, do you have it working?
I'm going to test it, but I think I have it working.
Okay.
1 second, wait for it to load.
Sure.
My pipes aren't moving.
They aren't moving. Do they, do you have the pipe controller script on them?
Let me check.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop the rotating because it's making my bird go all floppy around. Could make that instead of Flappy Bird, it could be called Floppy Bird.
Bird, that's great.
And it would just flop all over the place.
Sell 1 million copies, Rain. Jazzy, was it just that you were missing the component?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, remember that the component, attaching it to an object is how the object knows that you want to use that component, right?
Actually, I'm gonna keep the floppiness. Floppy Bird.
Floppy Bird. All right. So one last thing that I'd like to get in before we finish today, and this one we will write so that we get a little bit more coding experience. I am going to come down to my scripts again, and I'm going to hit plus C# script, and I'm going to write destroyer. I'm going to call this class destroyer with an uppercase D. D-E-S-T-R-O-Y-E-R. Destroyer. What do we think the destroyer does?
I think it destroys the bird.
It destroys the bird. So right now we have it so that when the bird hits the wall, it kind of gets pushed backwards. And that's maybe fine. But in Flappy Bird, when you touch that wall, that's it. Lights out. You're done. So we're actually going to write a script that knows how to destroy the bird. In this case, we don't need, we're going to, if you haven't already, come down to your scripts, hit the plus button, hit C# script. You're going to open it. Open it up. You're going to have the default stuff in here, just like last time. You're going to have start and update. Go ahead and delete those. We are not going to use them this time.
For sure?
So,
or just kidding?
No, just kidding this time. So we're going to have a destroyer.
Just kidding
class.
reaction.
Just kidding. No. So we have our opening and closing bracket, just like before. And we're going to write a function.
It's still loading.
Oh, it's still loading? So you can copy this once it opens up for you, okay? So we're going to make a public void on collision enter 2D. And it's going to take in a collision 2D object.
Oh no,
collision.
I accidentally closed it, I think. Sorry.
Oh no. You can open it back up. So this is, so jumper. Let me give this as an example. Our jumper function. When does the jumper function happen?
Whenever you click.
Whenever you click, right? But ultimately, it only happens when we explicitly tell it to happen, right? So in this case, we explicitly said, hey, I want you to jump when we click. For built-in Unity functions, including update and start, Unity tells that function when to happen. And that's the same thing for on collision enter 2D. So given the name of this function, when do we think this happens?
When you collide with Unity?
Yeah, when two things collide. So when two things collide, this function gets called on both of them. So all we actually have to do inside of this function is destroy the bird, right? If we have collided, then we know it's time to destroy the bird. So we're gonna say destroy, and then we can access this collision 2D object here to ask who actually touched us, which in this case is gonna be the bird. So we're gonna say collision.gameObject. Remember that I told you everything that exists in the scene is a game object. Okay. So this is also one of the scripts I sent to you. So if you're having issues, you can totally copy and paste from that script or even just use that script. But I wanted to get us a little bit more coding for the day.
Still working on copying everything down.
Problem. If you have finished this, what you can do is on each of the pipes, once again, it has to be the pipes themselves and not the pipe parent. On each of the pipes, you can go to add component and add the destroyer. And that should immediately work. So when you hit play, if your bird touches one of the pipes, the bird should disappear.
We should have done this before copying.
All right. Do people have the script?
No, not yet. Almost done. Collisions dot game.
Do you remember your semicolon this time?
Nope. Semicolon. Boop. And we're done.
All right. So let's go back. We'll see if we have any errors. It looks like mine is working okay.
Save.
Now, this is totally, you're right. This is what you were talking about, Fung. So this is a little bit
I got an error.
Uh-oh.
Some very, very long error.
Very, very long error.
Yeah.
What I'm going to have you do for right now, just so that we can get this working, Rain, is in that email, I sent you a destroyer.cs.
Yeah, I know.
Go get that guy and copy it from there. Just copy and paste it. Yeah.
Just for now. I'll figure out what's wrong later.
Yeah. All right. So there is an incredibly useful Unity thing. In fact, what I'll just show you. I was thinking I would avoid it.
Oh, I only need 15. Oh, 1 second. Sorry. I'm going to mute.
Perfect. So now that everybody has done this a million times, you can delete all your pipe pairs because I'm going to show you a better way. I showed you how to do it that way because I wanted to show you the pain of not having what's called prefabs, and also because I failed to do this in an orderly manner. But you can go ahead and delete everything except one copy of pipe pair, because what we're about to do is turn pipe pair into a prefab. I'm going to...
Shoot, now I have 2 destroyers and I don't know which one's the wrong one. Okay, I'm going to delete them both and then...
Brilliant. So on both of your pipes, just like I said, on both of the pipes individually, add component destroyer. And then to turn this pipe pair into a prefab, all you have to do is drag and drop. We're getting used to that. Unity has a whole lot of dragging and dropping. Drag and drop your pipe pair into your project. You will notice a pipe pair asset appears in your project, and that your pipe pair in the sample scene becomes blue. And that's because this is now a prefab. I can now drag this prefab from my project into my scene, and I will get an exact copy of it. So I can now replace all these pipes that I used to have here.
How do you delete the things again?
Just click on them in your scene and hit delete.
Yes.
That's all you gotta do. Now, the other thing that's amazing about prefabs is if I forget, for instance, to add my destroyers, I can double click on my prefab in the project.
So how do you do this again? Sorry.
Yeah, so drag and drop your pipe pair from your hierarchy
Yes.
down into your project and let go. And you'll notice into your project. And you'll know it worked if it becomes blue.
It's blue now.
Great. So now these are all prefabs. So there's a lot more to prefabs that I'm not gonna, and now you can, to make a copy of that, Rain, all you gotta do is drag it from the project into your scene, wherever you want it. And you'll see it immediately makes a whole copy of that object. So that's a prefab. So here's the amazing part. If I forget to add my destroyer, all I have to do is double click on my pipe pair in the project, and I will suddenly have a special window where I'm editing that prefab. And any changes I make in here will happen to all of the other prefabs. So I could, for instance, let's say, so my pipes actually were, I noticed that the edges were too short when I was running it. So I could actually just make them longer in here. And now when I come back out, all of my pipes will be longer. And you hit back out with the back arrow there. So now we have a bird with some pipes, right? And if I hit run, I can jump my bird around, and if I run into a pipe, my bird gets deleted and I've lost the game. Okay. Does everybody have destroyers working?
1 second.
Negative.
Negative? What's happening, Fong?
My bird doesn't die.
Your bird doesn't die. So
show the CS code real quick.
Yes. So it may be the code. It may also be that your bird or your walls are missing colliders. Also, this is a very important one. The destroyer needs to be on the same object as the box collider, which means both of them need to be on the pipe and not the pipe pair. Basically, the collider is the thing that collides. And so this function, on collision enter 2D, will only get called on scripts that are on the same object as a collider when they get that collision. So is all that right?
I have the same problem. My bird isn't dying.
Your bird isn't dying? Okay. So first thing to check, do your pipes both have a destroyer on them?
Yes.
Not the pipe pair.
Yeah, top and bottom pipe have colliders. I mean, colliders
and
and
it doesn't have destroyer on it.
There we go. So you can edit that. And once again, remember, if you want to edit your prefabs and make them all change, double click on the prefab in your project to open it up. Okay.
Also, how do you make your pipes longer?
So I'm going to edit it in the prefab. Just remember to do this because otherwise it'll get out of whack. And there's more to prefabs that I don't want to teach you right now. But double click on your pipe pair to open it up. And then all you got to do is click on your rect tool or your scale tool and actually scale it, make it longer.
Okay, cool.
All right. So Fong,
sorry. Go ahead. I wasn't clear on how you actually get it to reflect how do you get it to reflect back to the prefab itself so it does it to all of them? I saw you.
Yeah.
I was able to change my first one, my original prefab.
Yeah.
You get it to. I know there's a way to get it to reflect out.
Yes. So let me. So first of all, congratulations everyone who has gotten here. You have a completed game. You have Flappy Bird. Now there is more script for you to look at in the Google Drive or on the email, depending on what you got. And the one that you definitely haven't applied today is the scorekeeper. The scorekeeper will actually keep track of a score and give you a score as you play. To use the scorekeeper, you're gonna have to hit plus. You can come back to this video. I'm gonna post it somewhere, not sure yet, probably just on YouTube. You can hit plus, go to UI, text. You're actually gonna make a text object somewhere on the screen. Once you've made the text object, you're gonna have to link it in the hierarchy into the scorekeeper. So your scorekeeper component, when you add it somewhere, is gonna have an empty box just like this for you to drag and drop the text into the empty box. And then that'll be it. Scorekeeper will take it from there. So all of that is just for you to look up later. Come watch this video later and get the scorekeeper working, or see if you can figure out on your own.
I figured out how to do what I just asked, so you can skip it.
Oh, great. Now, for editing prefabs, Fong, actually, before you talk
I
about
figured
that.
it out. I spelled collision wrong.
Ah, yes. Yeah, so if you have this function name spelled differently, Unity won't know to automatically run it. So is that what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do I get it to autofill in Visual Studios?
In Visual Studio? Yeah, so after the class, if you Google how to hook up Visual Studio to Unity, you can see a couple of extra steps, but it should be doing it. I've had that happen as well, where it gets unlinked.
Still not working for some reason.
Okay, give me 1 second, Rain. So one of the things that may work, is it up here? Hold on, it's in the preferences somewhere. Is it not? Am I wrong?
That's okay, William.
That's it. So it's here. If you go up to Unity Preferences, External Tools, make sure it's set to Visual Studio. And then Unity Preferences.
Oh, I spelled
External
object
tools.
wrong. That's
External
why
tools,
it doesn't work.
Nice, good job figuring it out. And then External Tools, and then External Script Editor, make it Visual Studio.
Gotcha.
Nice. And you may need to restart everything for it to actually work. But that's how you attach the two. Okay,
Gotcha.
So
Cool.
there are more scripts for you guys to learn. We're gonna run a course like this every month for free. So feel free to come join us in the future. There's a lot more to Unity. I'm also going to send out an email after this class to everybody who attended that will include a link to another tutorial that's just by Unity. It's not by me. That has, it goes a little bit more in depth than this. The hope of this class is just to get your foot like barely in the door. Just enough for you to be like, okay, I think maybe I get what's going on. But there's gonna be a lot that's still confusing. Especially a challenge that I have for you is to look at your pipe controller. Now you'll see that the pipe controller, by contrast to your other scripts, is much more advanced. It has a lot going on, right? But you can figure it out if you take it piece by piece and look at your other scripts. So something that I might do is open up your pipe controller and just start messing with it. What things can you make happen by manipulating your pipe controller, okay? The other thing that I would try is to see if you can hook up that scorekeeper that I talked about, and just to start playing with this game. So what happens if you have two birds? I don't know. What happens if you have, if you make it so that the bird can actually move left and right? Can you actually get it to move left and right? Maybe with the arrow keys or something like that. The best way to learn game development is just to start playing, just to start making games, okay?
It still doesn't work for some reason.
It still doesn't work? Did you copy and paste your destroyer script?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I downloaded the destroyer script.
You downloaded it? Okay. And on your pipe pair, does each pipe have a box collider 2D and a destroyer script attached?
Wait 1 second, let me check. So each pipe pair.
Each pipe, the individual pipes, not the pipe pair.
Oh, each pipe. 1 second, each pipe. Each pipe has a 2D box collider, but each pipe themselves don't have the destroyer.
Yes, so that's what you need. So each pipe needs its own
destroyer. The pipe pair
destroyer.
has the destroyer though for some.
Yeah, so you can, you do not need it on the pipe pair. You can delete it by clicking the three check marks, the three like little flips at the top, the menu, and going to remove component.
That's why my other script didn't work either.
Yeah, so the scripts don't know how to work in between objects like this. The pipe is the thing with the box collider, so it also needs a destroyer attached, okay? So,
I got the score working, but it continues even after you smash into a pipe and you die.
Yes.
Going because the destroyer script doesn't actually stop the game, but that's
so that's by design. That's a challenge for you. So what Matt has noticed here is when you get the scorekeeper working, the score keeps going up even after you die. And that's just because I didn't make it complicated enough to know that your character is dead. So a challenge for you could be to make it so that the score stops when you die. Okay.
Excellent.
So that's your little teeny tiny intro to Unity. Congratulations. Everybody here is a game developer, honorary game developer.
Thank you, Willem.
Yes, absolutely. You have all of these scripts and the images available to you. I'm also going to get this video up and post it online so that you can come back through and check some of the stuff that you're not sure about. And then I'll send you some links. So I'm going to send you a link to another tutorial that you can follow for your step 2. And I'm going to send you a link to the files. Okay. So everybody here will get one more email after this. But that's it. Thank you for tagging along. And I hope we can teach you another one in the future. Maybe we'll do like Snake or some other game.
Really excellent. Super fun.
Yeah, of course. All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you
Everybody
all.
stay safe. Keep working on games.
Bye.
Shoot me messages. Yes,
Thank you. Bye.
absolutely.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Bye, everyone.